Howdy guys, Jimmy Song here. In this video, I want to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, and that's learning, right? I teach for a living to some degree. I write a lot of articles. I'm writing a book right now. Even this video itself is sort of a way for me to convey information to people. The thing about learning is that it is not easy. A lot of people underestimate how difficult it is to learn. And this is my attempt at sort of making it a little bit easier so that you can learn how to learn, essentially. Now, gaining a skill takes a lot of tenacity, a lot of repetition, a lot of practice, a lot of perseverance and patience and things like that, which a lot of people can't get that much of in any one sitting. And this is my first tip. Do a small chunk at a time, right? Like if you want to learn how to sell something on eBay, just list something that you don't care about. Don't worry about making money, but just do it once so that you know how the process works or what you can sort of expect. And that's in general a good idea, is to just do something with the expectation that you're not going to be good at it at first, that it's going to take you much longer than you think. My kids have this mentality where if they're not good at it the first time, they get really upset. Right. And a lot of kids do, because they're like, why am I not good at this? Why am I not an expert? First time I play piano or something like that. That's not how things work. It takes time for you to gain mastery. It takes time to gain skill. So having, making the sort of first step, first user experience, if you will, pleasant by both lowering expectations and making the task easy is a very good way to get started. And you want to be, second thing is you want to always sort of be in that range where it's not so easy for you that you're not actually learning anything, and it's not so hard for you that you get crushed by the information. And this is something that I try to do very much as a teacher, is to sort of balance the two. I tend to go more towards like, difficulty, because I teach classes, and you don't want your smartest person to get bored, because, you want to make sure you're investing in that person too. There are opportunities for review and things like that. But making sure you're sort of in that Goldilocks zone, right? Like where it's just right, where you're getting challenged, where you're just sort of getting stretched. You get a lot of the basic concepts, and you're being stretched in a direction. That's the place where you want to be. And the real question is, how do you get there? How do you get there? Well, if it's too difficult, you should know right away. If it's too easy, you should also know right away. And you should be always sort of on the lookout for material that's in that in-between phase. And usually it comes up in stuff that you are already kind of familiar with, but not really entirely familiar with. So say you're learning Bitcoin and you know something about how wallets work. You know generally what public key cryptography is, what a private key is, and stuff like that. You know theoretically how a BIP32 wallet works. That might be a very good place to actually go learn. Because if you don't know all of the details, when you're learning the details, you will learn a whole bunch of other stuff. So using your base of learning as sort of like a way to learn even more, that's a very good strategy to have in general. My final tip for learning is just, just be very, very consistent. A lot of people want to get it all done with in a day, they'll take like an all-day class and things like that. And, I'm guilty of this. I teach a class basically that's geared towards people that want to learn it as quickly as possible. But even all of my students will tell you, hey, you need to review this stuff or it doesn't stay in your head. There's no way that 48 hours is enough to get all of that information in you, which is why I make sure that they have all the materials to be able to review everything over and over, I always update my material. I try to support them in whatever way I can so that they can keep current with all of that stuff. It requires a lot of repetitions. It requires a lot of your brain sort of being able to process that stuff when you're not necessarily thinking about it. Oftentimes, sleep is a very good time for your brain to sort of synthesize a lot of that information that you've learned. So being consistent with it, having a lot of reps, going over it and over it again, these are all things that will help a lot. And especially if you're like a programmer or something like that, it doesn't matter if if you've been programming since you were 6 and have a PhD from Harvard, or you went to a boot camp last week. The biggest indicator of whether or not you will be successful at various companies is whether or not you have the drive to learn something on your own. I think Stack Overflow, or it was one of these surveys where they figured out what correlated best with programmer productivity for a particular company, and then they figured out, okay, if you took a course on your own and finished it on your own without anyone having to motivate you, that was a better indicator than anything else. Doesn't matter if you had a degree from an Ivy League school or whatever. And that's really it. It's about the ability to learn on your own, right? Like that's what I'm trying to get through, is that it is not easy. Don't expect it to be easy. And once you learn it, it has a significant amount of value. As Naval Ravikant says, it's not the information that is rare anymore. It is curiosity that is. And cultivate your curiosity. Make sure that you can learn things that way. Anyway, hope that helps you. This song is done.